This is Artifacts of Mars. You better get the kids out of the room because I'm steaming hot mad as usual. But this one is going to be personal in regards to an incident back on March 6th of this year. And where I was unfairly abused by a Monroe County Sheriff's deputy. So get your kids out of the room. The language is going to be a bit raw. This is Artifacts of Mars, and this one's going to be primarily personal. But every video I do has a point to it, and this one's no exception. See, I was stopped by a Monroe County, New York Sheriff's deputy on March 6th, about 11:30 p.m. March 6, 2014. Now here's what had happened. I was driving down Route 390, and I had a tailgater glued to my rear end. I didn't think much of it because I'm used to having tailgaters and dealing with reckless drivers, things that the cops will do absolutely nothing about. That all dovetails with the rest of this. So, at any rate, I turn off on exit 11, which is Rush, New York exit, heading home from work, when the tailgater followed me. What you do is you turn left onto Route 15 and go about no more than a quarter mile at most. And you turn left on 251 and go down to Route 15A, and from there I head south. That's the route. Tailgater followed me all the way. So I get on 15A. There's like a pub or something there. I don't go in those. I'm a non-drinker, but there's a big area where you can pull off and get out of the way. I just figured I would let the reckless driver through, because that's just the thing to do, basically. So I decided to let reckless driver and tailgater through. I pulled off, parked, waited for him to go through, and then I started up again, hoping that he would just be on his way. Well, he pulled off and waited for me to pass him. And then he pulls back on the road and gets back on my rear end, although not anywhere near as close as he had tailgated me on 390. And so forth. So he was a lot further away. So I get near a gas station. It's called Valero. I don't know that much about them, although I've been there for gas before. And I see this cop come from behind the truck or whatever it was. I didn't get a good look at it. He pulls me over. By the time this happened, I was well aware that something was wrong, because it just didn't look right. Well, so he pulls me over. It's about 11:30 p.m. at night. About 5 degrees, by the way. It was about 5 degrees, 0 to 5, somewhere in that range. And cop comes from behind the truck. The truck pulls in behind him. So I stop, and the cop, his name is Officer Montagna or Montagno, I'm not sure which. Badge number 3745. And he comes up behind me and orders me out of the car, frisks me. Mind you, I had done nothing wrong. I was doing absolutely nothing wrong. I was minding my own business, just commuting. Orders me out of the car, frisks me, and starts making all sorts of allegations that I was acting drunk, which is bullshit. Alright? utter fucking bullshit. Because I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't take dope. It's always worked for me. I don't want that stuff in my body. I don't drink or smoke or take dope. Doesn't mean I'm a perfect fucking person. Everybody has their little flaws, and these motherfuckers don't understand that. Anyway, so he pulls me over, frisks me, and starts making all these allegations that I was acting drunk. And I said, well, what? You know, what about the truck that was behind me? He was tailgating and driving recklessly. Oh, I'll talk to him about that. No, he should have been fucking ticketed and thrown in fucking jail is what should have fucking happened. So, Officer Montagno frisks me, and then he puts me through all sorts of drunk tests, and I passed all those, including the breathalyzer. And he still kept making these rude, nasty, and inconsiderate allegations. Rude, nasty, and inconsiderate. Rude, nasty, and inconsiderate. Rude, nasty, and inconsiderate. That's part one. So, we got done with the test. He had me standing out there in fucking cold. I tried to put my hands in my pocket because I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't even have any gloves on. And I was starting to get frostbite on my hands. So I tried putting my hands in my pocket. Oh, this is after he frisked me. He said, no, you keep your hands out by your side. Oh, fuck that. So, I'm sitting there getting hypothermic and getting frostbite on my hands. He had me standing out there for God knows how long. And then he starts making all sorts of allegations that I was acting intoxicated. Bullshit. We're individuals. Everybody is different. But these people are so stupid that they think we're supposed to be fucking robots. Well, we're not fucking robots, motherfuckers. We're human beings, and you motherfuckers don't treat us like human beings. You want a bunch of fucking slaves! Well, anyway. So, I tried getting a hold of the sheriff's department regarding this because I was blazing hot mad the way I was treated. And they gave me basically the runaround. And after a couple days, after a bunch of runarounds, and then I had we had a blizzard that kind of interrupted things, so I wasn't able to get a hold of this guy the way I wanted because I figured they were preparing for the storm, and I didn't want to bother him over this. And so I kind of put it off, but I was still steaming hot mad, and I'm still steaming hot mad, as I'm sure you've already noticed. So I decided to try a different tactic. Under the Constitution, politicians have a responsibility to deal with, or at least accept a request for redress of grievance. So I emailed at Maggie Brooks and I said, look, under the Constitution, you have that responsibility. I have a grievance and here it is. Well, what does she do? She shirks the responsibility and sends an email to, back to the cops. So I talked to Monroe County Sheriff's deputy. He said, well, the guy will get counseling. Turned out that was bullshit. And so he give him counseling, but didn't do anything about it. And by the way, I did tell the cop they had to have a search warrant before he frisked me, but it didn't do any good. And that's not really what this is about, though. This is about their attitude towards the public and the way they treat us. Remember, you have to remember one thing. This is not about law enforcement. What they're doing is revenue collection. They were hoping for a big fucking score. Right? A drunk driver is a big, big score, and that's what they're hoping for. They get fined like thousands and thousands of dollars, which I don't have. We barely have a couple hundred. So they get fined. So they were hoping for a big fucking score, and it didn't happen because I passed all the sobriety tests. I'm not that coordinated of a walker, however. And what I do at night is I watch for deer. Maybe that's what explains why I don't drive an exact distance from that white line. I'm watching for deer and evading tailgaters rather than trying to make certain I drive an exact distance from that white line on the right all the time to please some assholes. I'm not concerned with driving a straight line, which isn't possible anyway because the road is curvy. I'm only concerned with driving safely and evading deer and tailgaters and reckless drivers. Especially at night. Well, in the daytime, sometimes on 390, they'll come in so close they're going to hit you if you don't take evasive action. They don't care. And the police do nothing about that. That's not a big score. The drunk is a big score. You know, somebody going 100 miles an hour might be a big score. This is revenue collection. They're not concerned with law enforcement. If they were, they would get the lawlessness on the highway under control. Anyway, finished story. So Maggie Brooks sends it back to the good old boys club, and which is what they are. I have been promised by the cop that Officer Montagno would be counseled. Lie. I got this letter from the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. And I'll just read it. An internal investigation, lie, was conducted as a result of an incident that was reported to Internal Affairs on April 3, 2014. The investigation has been completed and determinations have been made. Lie. The evidence available did not support the allegation made. Lie. The member apparently acted in accordance with the agency policies and procedures. Lie. Therefore, no further action is contemplated on this matter. If you have any questions regarding this matter, please contact me at 753-4519, signed the corrupt Patrick M. O'Flynn, Monroe County Sheriff. And it's actually signed by Lieutenant Jeff Del Gudico, Internal Affairs Unit. Signed an ink pen. That's a name I'm not going to try to pronounce. Well, so that's your policy, Mr. Sheriff, then you should resign. I mean, if your policy is to be rude and for your officers to be rude and nasty towards a lone driver at night, which is what you target, then you should resign in disgrace. You, sir, are an utter disgrace to law enforcement. I'm not taking that back. This Officer Montagno, or Montagno, whichever it is, was rather nasty towards me, and I did not appreciate it. I did not appreciate Maggie Brooks shirking her duty under the Constitution to deal with a redress of grievance case. And I want you to understand that legal action is still on the table on this. The civil rights organizations don't generally stand up for white male like myself, so without their help, I have little chance of winning anything. So I'm leaving legal action against Monroe County on the table, but I don't know if I'll ever get to it, to be honest with you. I have other things to do. And this is an utter fucking disgrace. You can't even drive home in peace, yet all these motherfuckers on the highway can cut in so close that they're going to hit you if you don't take evasive action. They can tailgate you, do all sorts of reckless things, nothing is ever done about it. No action is ever taken against drivers like that. They're just allowed... 390 is a cesspool of unbelievable lawlessness. Kind of like Washington, D.C. There, I said it. I compared Route 390 to Washington, D.C. That really sucks. But it's the truth. Totally lawless. So what the cops do is they single out one person at night. Or sometimes in the day. One person on the road rather than... because they're hoping for a score, basically. This is all revenue collection. I have to deal with that. I have to deal with asshole cops around here. I had one stop me 300 feet from my goddamn house, for crying out loud. And saying, you're gonna go off the road. Oh, bullshit. I was minding my own fucking business again. Bottom line is, the cops around here, 90% of them are corrupt, alright? And that's what it amounts to. Sheriff O'Flynn is obviously corrupt. And he should be removed from office. You people in Monroe County, you need to remove that asshole next election. I'm going to see if I can find out when the next election is, and I intend to help campaign, if I get the time, for his opponent without taking into account what political party the opponent is in. Without taking that into account. I'm not registered in a political party. I am registered to vote, but I'm not in a political party as such. Well, that's about it. This is to illustrate the arrogance of these cops, and they basically target one person at night because they don't like to, they don't want to be bothered actually doing law enforcement. No. This is not law enforcement. This is just revenue collection. They're hoping for a big score. If they're doing law enforcement, we wouldn't have the lawlessness on 390. I mean, they could cruise along unmarked, and when somebody cuts in like that, real close, put on the lights, pull them over, and ticket them. That's if this was about law enforcement. But it's not. They don't give a fuck about law enforcement, and they don't give a fuck about safety. This is gross corruption. This is complete lawlessness. Kind of like Washington, D.C. Not all cops are like this. Not all Monroe County Sheriff's deputies are like this. But many of them are. As for Officer Montagno, whichever it is, you're a disgrace, sir. You were extremely unprofessional towards me, and you got away with it. If it were up to me, you would be demoted. If not, fired altogether. You don't treat people like that. I don't give a flying fuck what your reason is. You don't keep making the allegations. I passed the fucking test. And you, sir, caused me to become hypothermic. I was starting to shiver out there. That's the first stage of hypothermia, is when you start to shiver. And I got frostbite too on my hands. And To you, Mrs. County Executive Maggie Brooks, let me explain something to you. I intend to campaign against you as well. And you're a Republican. But I don't give a flying fuck. Yeah, find out when these elections are. But, Mrs. County Executive, if I would have had to go to the hospital because of hypothermia, you know whose county would have been sued? It would have been yours. And I would have sued you for a lot of money, and I still may sue. Well, it's kind of tough to... on time and money, I really don't have it. That's about it. This is a total fucking disgrace. And people have to speak up about these incidents and say, we're not going to tolerate this. We're going to remove these rascals from office. The cops are just doing their job. Fuck that. They're fucking assholes. No excuse. I won't even listen to it. I gotta live with anger and bitterness from this for a long, long time. Well, however long I'm alive. Oh, but how do you expect God to forgive me? How do you expect God to forgive you? Fuck that. I don't want to be forgiven for the little flaws that make me human. Hell's a region inside the earth if you read the Bible right. It's not even this eternal place. That's a discussion for another time. I'm Artifacts Mars. Thanks for watching.